Buju Indinoe Makanadok. Anin. Kagegabo Indigenous Kaz. Mikanak and Dudem. Mikanak Wajuing and Dunjaba. Kakabakang and Danongom. And what I said there was, hello all of my relatives. My name is Kagegabo. I'm Turtle Clan. I'm a descendant of Turtle Mountain. I live in Minneapolis today. And I'd love to say, Apajigo Miigwech Bizindawig. Thank you all so much for listening to this live Ojibwe Word broadcast of the day. I love doing Word of the Day. It has been so much fun to make myself use the language on a daily basis, and then once a week to really go in depth to talk about what some of these words mean. And a lot of them I've chosen are very important to me on a personal level, and I'm really grateful. I'm very grateful that you're all taking the time to listen to these, so thank you so much. Tonight's word of the day is one of our sacred laws. That would mean our sacred law. It's a grandfather teaching. It's one of the gifts that were given to the Anishinaabe so that we could so that we could lead a good life. A life of peace, a life of balance, a life without conflict with our relatives, or a life without contradiction, saying one thing and doing another. And the sacred law we're talking about tonight is Zoongide'e. Zoongide'e. Now that's a complete sentence in Ojibwe. Zoongide'e. That means she or he has a strong heart. He or she is courageous. He or she is brave. And if we break that word down, it has this first part, zoom, which means strong. So, and then the de'e is the heart. So literally when we say Zoongide'e, we're saying he or she has a strong heart. And you know, when I like to translate that word, you can use brave for certain, but I like to use the translation courageous when I'm translating that into English, because courageous actually has that same word stem in it, kur, for heart. So to be courageous, it shows up in Spanish, corazon, in Latin for coeur, le coeur, in French, en français. So it's really dealing with that same concept, but it's having a strong heart. It's being brave. And you know, I chose that because of the events that took place in the last week, and it's been, you know, here in the United States, it's been a very conflicting time for a lot of our citizens. And I didn't know what to speak about without being more inflammatory, yet condemning of what happened. So it reminded me of a story by ᓲᓐကိΔे, the late Jim Littlewolf, who told a story long ago that he called ᓲᓐကိΔe, Zoongide'e. And that means in Ojibwe, weak of heart and strong of heart. Or it means to be cowardly and to be brave. And when I saw the actions of what happened in Virginia, I thought of that. I thought, well, here we have a perfect example of ᓲᓐကိΔe, someone who is weak of heart, someone who has acted cowardly, and then Zoongide'e, a number of people who acted very courageously. And really, when I'm speaking about the cowardice, I'm talking about the terrorist attack that happened there. The person who murdered a fellow American citizen, who attacked them while they were peacefully protesting. And there is no description in Anishinaabe culture that could describe that as anything other than ᓲᓐကိΔe, as being weak of heart, as being cowardly. And really that sort of cowardice that they're talking about is when your heart resorts to fear, to anxiety, to anger, and ultimately leading to violence. And what I wanted to talk about with Zoongide'e, and I'm sure if you're watching this was probably on your feed, but live footage of what had happened. And I was blown away by how people acted. I think often when we translate this term into English, Zoongide'e, he or she is brave. That's someone who is totally unafraid to meet their enemy in a fight, in a war. And what I'd like to present to you tonight is a different understanding of Zoongide'e, what it means to have a strong heart. Because what I saw in the aftermath of that cowardly attack were people who scrambled and helped whoever was right next to them without fear, without any hesitation, despite having gone through, again, a very dramatic, a very deadly attack. I saw people go and help their neighbor, the person they were standing next to, and they did it fearlessly. They didn't run. They didn't flee for their lives. They helped the people they were next to. All right. So often we think of maybe bravery as being going into battle. Here was a case of someone having a strong heart who said, I will help the person, I will help my relative who is right next to me. And if I may get hurt doing so, my heart right now is strong enough that I'm going to reach out to them and I'm going to help them. And really what that comes from is, we've spoken about this. Ojibwe Word, he or she loves his or her relative unconditionally. He or she takes pity on them, and he or she is giving them a blessing. And that's how they acted. And in a moment that was meant to create such strife in our society, I saw Anishinaabe, I saw human beings come together and act with strong hearts and help whoever they were by, and to be with the one who had passed on. So, and I also want to acknowledge those the pilots who crashed too, who were police officers who were doing their job, who were in a helicopter and crashed. Again, they were someone who gets in an airplane to observe. I hope I've proven the importance of words here. I don't use rebranding terms like, oh right, these were fascists who were in a violent protest. So I want to thank those men too. That took a lot of strength apart to go and do that. So, as incendiary as this was meant to be, I think when we're talking about Zoongide'e, what real strength of heart means, this is being, I think, unafraid to love your relative. And really, because this is one of the sacred laws, this all works together. This is one of the grandfather teachings. This is having a strong enough heart to love unconditionally. ᓲᓐကိΔે. This is to pursue truth, debwewen, to lead a life, be totally unafraid to lead a life of righteousness, of virtue, of honesty, that we respect one another, to be totally unafraid to respect one another, for us to be to be humble, to think lowly of ourselves, of course to live with that great strength of heart, and then we begin acting intelligently. Because none of the stories I've ever read in all of my Ojibwe studies have ever said that using violence, anger, using hatred, animosity towards your relative has ever led to success or has ever allowed Anishinaabe to lead a good life. In all the stories, whoever's acting that way is often in the role of the bad guy. So if we're looking for answers right now, we may not have them immediately, but we know where to look. And that's at the teachings that our ancestors have passed on to us, those 7 sacred laws. And that if we do live with love, with humility, with truth, with honesty, righteousness, or virtue, with respect for one another, with strong hearts, with intelligence, then we will find a way that we would be able to live in peace with one another, without conflict with our relatives, without contradiction, saying one thing and doing another, and finding peace and balance with Indinaway Maknuk, with all of our relatives. So I'd like to say right now, I'm so grateful that again, that you take the time out of your day to listen to these live Ojibwe broadcasts. I'm always very happy and grateful to have a chance to share our language and culture with whoever wants to learn about Ojibwe culture and history. And again, if you like this video, please feel free to share this with anyone who you think may be interested in Anishinaabe culture, spirituality, our philosophy, our history, and our language. Ahau, miigwech bizendaweg. Thank you all so much for listening. Dagasana and Guamazig. Please do take care. Banamam minawadas and bandamang gigawa bandaman. The spirits will decide when we see each other again. Me you.